What if pain isn't the problem, but actually the pathway back to you? You're listening to The Leadership Wound, From Pain to Permission. I'm Amanda Rohr, your host and founder of Authentically You, coaching for embodied spiritual living and leading. This is where we get honest about the real cost of leadership, the burnout, the pretending, the rejection, and the return to your authentic self. Because this isn't about performance, it's about permission. Welcome to the leader you've always been. But let's name what this internal pressure actually costs us, because it doesn't just linger around without affecting us. It surfaces as burnout, isolation, resentment, stagnation, and even emotional exhaustion. You might still look like a great leader on the outside. You're probably still performing at a high level, but inside you're depleted. And leadership that is sustained by pressure instead of peace will eventually collapse. Welcome back to The Leadership Wound. This is part 3 of our series, The Hardest Person You'll Ever Lead is You. In part 1, we explored self-awareness, the ability to know what is yours to carry and what you need to release. In part 2, we looked at the courage it takes to face feedback and embrace vulnerability, even when it feels risky. And today we're turning inward to talk more about the internal pressures to be perfect. Let's start with something that might hit close to home. Have you ever found yourself overthinking an email or message, knowing what you wanted to say, but second-guessing every word as you typed it? You reread it, tweaked a sentence, deleted it, then rewrote it again. Not because the content was unclear, but because of the rising inner tension you were feeling. That pressure that whispers, you can't get this wrong. You have to anticipate how this will land on your reader. You have to protect yourself from what people will think of you. I've been there more times than I'd like to admit. It's not that I didn't know what to believe. It's that I felt responsible for not only saying the right thing, but for how it might be received. It wasn't about clarity. It was about control, controlling the response of others. I know it sounds crazy, even saying it out loud, but it's true. And that's pressure, the internal pressure that comes from ourselves, not from outside. Maybe you felt it too. The need to get everything just right, not out of joy or integrity, but out of fear. The fear of being misunderstood, the fear of not being enough, the fear that one misstep might undo all the trust that you've built. That's the pressure we're going to talk about today, because leadership isn't just about making decisions. It's about managing the invisible load we carry while making those decisions. We're going to talk about the pressure to be perfect and the healing invitation that's underneath it all. Internal pressure is that invisible weight that you carry, not because someone else demanded it of you, but because at some point you decided you had to. It's the voice that says, I should be further along than this. I can't let everyone down. If I don't do it, no one else will. If I rest, I'll lose momentum. There's no room for mistakes. Not here, not now. This pressure often comes from lived experiences. Perhaps it was being praised only when you were performing, or feeling the rejection after you failed. And that lived experience created a pattern. You learned to earn your worth. You learn to strive instead of settle. You learn to achieve instead of rest. Slowly and subtly, perfectionism creeps in and hides behind the words of high standards, responsibility, and I just want to do a good job, and often masquerading as excellence. But perfectionism is not the same as excellence. Excellence is rooted in purpose, clarity, and care. It says, I want to bring my best. Not to impress, but to serve. I value quality because what I do matters, and so do the people I'm doing it for. Perfectionism, on the other hand, is driven all by fear. It says, if I don't get this right, I'm not enough. It says mistakes are dangerous. Failure is personal. Rest is risk. Excellence fuels your creativity, while perfectionism drains it. Excellence invites collaboration, while perfectionism isolates you. Excellence celebrates growth, while perfectionism only celebrates flawlessness, and even then, just for a moment, before moving the bar even higher. Where excellence is about devotion, perfectionism is about protection. One calls you up while the other wears you down. But let's name what this internal pressure actually costs us, because it doesn't just linger around without affecting us. It surfaces as burnout, isolation, resentment, stagnation, and even emotional exhaustion. You might still look like a great leader on the outside. You're probably still performing at a high level, but inside you're depleted. And leadership that is sustained by pressure instead of peace will eventually collapse. So let's ask an honest question. What are you afraid will happen if you give up perfectionism and stop trying so hard? For many of us, our internal pressure is tied to fear. The fear of being exposed or inadequate. The fear of being replaced. The fear of disappointing someone. Or the fear that if you slow down, everything will just fall apart. But here's the truth. Those fears aren't facts. They're simply stories. Stories that once protected you, but now keep you stuck. And here's the good news. You're allowed to write a new story. And you don't have to prove your worth to lead well. You're already worthy. Not because you earned it, but because you were created with it. You can be excellent without being perfect. You can be deeply trusted even when you're not holding it all together. Because you can lead with integrity and rest. And you can be responsible and still ask for help. And you can be capable and still be completely human. What if you let go of proving and embraced presence? What if peace, not pressure, became the new go-to strategy for your leadership? For me, I'm trying to adapt this new go-to strategy of peace. And that's why this episode is a little bit shorter than normal. On the next episode, I'll give a little bit more background on why I'm trying to live the messages that I'm coaching. But for now, as we close, I want to leave you with a few questions to carry you through your week. Where are you carrying pressure that no one else can see? What are you afraid might happen if you stopped trying to be perfect? What would it look like to lead from peace rather than performance? And who might you disappoint if you stopped over-functioning? And could you be okay with that? If you made it through all 3 episodes of this series, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for showing up with honesty. Thank you for doing the inner work that most leaders avoid. And thank you for trusting me to walk with you in this conversation. The hardest person you'll ever lead is you, but it's also the most important person, because how you lead yourself with awareness, courage, and compassion will shape how you lead everything else in your life. So if this series stirred something in you, if it named things you'd been carrying but couldn't quite articulate, if it helped you see yourself more clearly, not just as a leader, but as a whole person, then don't stop here. Go back and revisit the episode that hit home the most. You can also download my free morning meditation at authenticallyu.org and start every day centered and anchored with the most important voice. And if you're ready to take this from listening to living, book your free growth plan consult. We'll map out where you are, what's getting in the way, and how to move forward with confidence, clarity, and wholeness. Because you don't have to perform to be powerful, and you don't have to be perfect to be effective. And you don't have to carry it all alone to be a good leader. You can lead from the inside out, and you can lead from peace, because you can lead like you. Thanks for being here, thanks for being brave, and thanks for being willing to lead yourself even when it's hard. If this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Until next time, lead like you.